Hey folks, it's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, and interviews, also home to the best MJ community. Today's Saturday, October 21st. Hope you're having a great weekend. And in this video, we're going to do another edition of rapid fire news updates for the period October 14th to the 20th. If you're not familiar with this new format, essentially I try to go into all the important updates that happened over the last week, and I touch on the most important things. Not everything that happened. There's a lot that happens in the run of a week. It's actually kind of astonishing, but essentially it's not to go into deep dive details either. It's just to kind of go over a high level overview in case people may have missed it, and then you can look into it more if you feel so inclined to do so on your own time. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And moreover, on supporting the channel, you can go over to x.com and follow us there. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. So again, try to keep these videos around 10 to 15 minutes. And that seems to be a sweet spot that everybody likes. And let me know in the comments below if you like this new format, if there's anything else that you would recommend changing or adding to the channel. Always love hearing from you. And I really do appreciate all the support along the way. Love each and every one of you who supported me. If Ohio voters pass MJ legalization measure, Senate president says he'll push for reviewing it and repealing things. This is reported by MJ Moment a week ago. And this just gets ludicrous. I try not to get political on this channel, but I'm not even in the US. I'm Canadian, so it doesn't really apply to me, but I'm not on any side of the aisle. I don't care who goes into office or who's in office. I just want what's best for this MJ industry, right? And this medicine of the future, this amazing industry. And this is changing a lot of people's lives. And if people aren't for it, we need to vote them out, right? Well, Americans need to vote them out because I'm not American. But just listen to how absurd this is. So with Ohio kicked off last week, and we know that November 8th we'll have the arguments for November 8th ballot for Florida adult use. So we should see some updates with regard to that. I think Florida is the most important state, but Ohio is going to be huge as well. But he said, President Matt Huffman also warned that GOP lawmakers may seek to scuttle some of its core components if approved. So if Ohio voters do approve Issue 2, he said during a speech on the Senate floor this week, this initiated statute is coming right back before this body. We're going to have a mental health crisis on our hands if legalization becomes law. Like what? He cautioned, we are going to pay for this for years and years. Are you sure we're going to be paying for it for years? What? It doesn't make any sense. Look at Canada. They said that, when Canada legalizes, there's going to be a bunch of crime, there's going to be DUIs, there's going to be zombies walking through the streets. Well, just because it went legal didn't, like most people went back to the black market because legal MJ at the beginning sucked and was overpriced. So no, this doesn't make any sense. We need to vote this guy out of here. This guy's just insane. It doesn't even compute to me. How would that make any sense? And then he says that they're going to have like teenagers in the state of Ohio committing suicide, more teenagers doing so. Like what? This doesn't make any sense. Like talk to the people who consume massive amounts of alcohol and go home and beat their spouse, right? The only thing that people are more likely to do on MJ is go home and beat the refrigerator. So this guy just absolutely, I don't know. He's out to lunch, but we got to vote these people out of here. This is just insane. And Canada is a good example of that. And like 1 out of every 5 people or 4 people smoke it. So it just makes absolutely no sense. And as we know, there's medical properties, right? This is literally helping people with terminal cancer in the end of their life. It's also helping with, epilepsy and tons of other things that, there's tons of research being done every single day, right? So a poll finds that 57% support for MJ legalization among Ohio likely voters, including majority of Republicans. So we'll see what transpires over the next few months and see if this actually comes to fruition. But that's just pure insanity at its finest. Colorado has sold over $15 billion in MJ since legalization. So maybe Ohio should sort of look to Colorado. The Colorado Department of Revenue released monthly sales data showing $15 billion in sales since 2014, but a steady decline in sales since C19. Alabama regulators plan to issue medical MJ licenses by year end. So game theory playing out, more and more starting to embrace this medicine of the future. Also, speaking of medicine of the future, Tilray Medical supports new clinical trial to study medical MJ in glioblastoma cancer treatment. I mentioned this in one of my videos already, but this is just another testament to this medicine of the future. And there's going to be more and more studies and research done each and every day, and we're going to continue to find more advancements and breakthroughs, in my opinion. This is truly the best industry in plant and medicine, in my opinion. Also, Virginia election next month could set the stage for legal MJ sales or a rollback on reform, depending on which party wins. Also, poll finds decline in support for MJ banking bill, but 55% still want to see Congress pass it. So we could see safer banking, we could see rescheduling, Florida, Ohio. We got MJ Act here for review in Canada. We could see some improvements to the laws and regulations here over the next 3 to 6 months. Then we have Germany coming online. There's tons, uplifting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ for these MSOs. There's tons of catalysts on the horizon. Also, Forefront Ventures secures 10 million US credit facility. And then we had the MJ industry calling for regulatory changes 5 years after legalization. So again, this has to do with the MJ Act up for renewal here in Canada. We could see improvements to packaging, labeling, advertising, marketing, taxation, which we know is a big issue at the moment as well. It's and the federal government has said it's time for the federal government to get on board and start to support the MJ industry, right? And look at Fire and Flower, look at all these insolvencies and companies that are struggling. And like I said, a lot of it has to do with just the lack of support from the federal government. So it's time for them to get on board. And I think we're going to see many, many changes coming down the pipeline before too long. Also, Wild introduces new sour tangerine hybrid enhanced gummies. I did a review on these as well. Shout out to Undercover who recommended I try those. They were pretty good. You can check out the review that I did on that, but that's a BZAM product and brand. Also did a specific video for this, but MJ Restaurant opens in downtown Edmonton. So this is the first restaurant. So the restaurant in downtown Edmonton, CBD CBN it's called, is a dream come true for co-owner Stacy Myson and James Mulholland. So again, this is the first in Canada, and kudos for them for their leadership and taking on that risk. No one ever really wants to be first, but I definitely commend their leadership in this regard. And can't wait to, I actually reached out to them for a potential interview and also made a reservation to check this out. So if you're wondering, if you haven't visited Canada yet, if you're not from here, what are you doing? Give your head a shake, right? This is amazing. It's an amazing country. We've got MJ Legal here at the federal level, adult use sales, recreational. You can buy it here. So more than, there's never been a better reason to come here. And then you're going to start to see more of this start to happen, right? Where restaurants start to open, you're going to see pubs. That's a dream of mine, to open a Canapub. And then, eventually you're going to see cafes and lounges and things like that. Even Nevada and where else is it? Nevada. There was California. There's a party bus, an MJ party bus in Colorado, which that's definitely on my bucket list. So I'm excited. It's a great time to be alive, and I'm just excited to be experiencing all of this with you all. Also, MJ MSO Cresco Labs exits Arizona and secures mortgage in New York. And MJ operator Village Farms gets extension to regain NASDAQ compliance. So I did a video on this just the other day. I did some technical analysis as well on Village Farms, on VFF stock. So you can check that out for more details. But essentially, they now have until April 25th, 2024 to regain compliance with the minimum bid price rule at $1. They need to get it back above $1 for a minimum of 10 consecutive trading days before that date, or they could be subject to a reverse split and share consolidation. But this isn't the first time that we've seen companies get a NASDAQ extension. I'm pretty sure as memory serves me, I don't recall there ever being another time where it wasn't a 6-month extension. It was always 6 months for these MJ stocks specifically, because we know that they're just struggling, right? Because of the fact that it's only the MJ companies that are listed on the NASDAQ and the NYSE, because the MSOs can't, because they're touching the plant, right? So they're only listed on the OTC and then in Canada on some of the Canada exchanges, right? So that's, if you're in the US, you can't buy them unless you're buying like an ETF like MSOS, right? Which invests in those underlying companies. But also, Canadian MJ sales rise in August, surpassing $3 billion in 2023. So sales in August rose to $464.2 million, or a 4% increase over July. So that is massive. In 2022, sales in the respective months increased 20.5% from 2021 to $2.9 billion. So we're starting to get a real good idea of what this industry is going to be like long term, right? And there's so much growth here in Canada. Quebec's still very behind in terms of retail stores. There's also, big limitations on edibles and vapes and things like that. So there's still so much growth just here in our own backyard. And Tilray also made a press release. I didn't bring it up, but they said that, they're very positive on the growth aspect here in Canada and then abroad. They've got operations in the US as well through their beer and beverage brands, so spirits as well. And they got their distribution business, their medical business. They've got their hemp business with Manitoba Harvest. So I'm excited for the future. And like I said, we're going to see a lot of changes coming to the Canadian MJ space. That's only going to continue to make these companies thrive and growth and innovation in the space, right? Also, New York's recreational MJ sales total $83 million in the first 3 quarters. So New York's going to be another super important market as well. I would say Florida, New York, and Ohio are the biggest, definitely to be watching, and I think Florida probably going to be the biggest. Also, Trulieve MJ Corp to hold third quarter 2023 results and conference call on November 9th, 2023. So be keeping an eye on that. I'll more than likely do a review of those earnings as well. And speaking of Trulieve, they're also opening a medical MJ dispensary in Apollo Beach, Florida. So again, starting to kind of ramp that up in anticipation, right? They've got a absolute stranglehold on that market, but a lot of other companies starting to sort of make that their main focus as well, because like I said, it's going to be an absolute behemoth of a market. Also, analysis here from Normal. MJ use is common for those recuperating from painful work-related industries. So, injuries. So again, Ohio president, this Matt Huffman guy. Time to get with the times. Time to do your research. I don't know who's been feeding you all this information, but the stigma has to go away. Zombies and criminals and DUIs and suicide from MJ. It's like that just hasn't been the case in Canada. Just look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. But again, let me know what you think of that just pure insanity in the comments below, because I don't know. It just boils my blood, to be honest. I'm just like that. There's so much wrong with that statement, it's not even funny. Those statements. But going into there, it's Rod with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us in the Pursuit of Wealth. Going to catch the Oilers game. So going to end it there. This was short and sweet, and we'll catch you next week for another update and rapid fire news edition video. But essentially, I'll be doing some videos. I got a busy week ahead, going to be moving as well, and signing up a couple new tenants into a couple new condos that I bought. So very busy and big week ahead, and I'll be keeping tabs on the community, in the private community, and then shout out to Frank S. who won a free membership as a thank you to the community and celebrating 5 years legal in MJ for MJ here in Canada. And we'll see you on the other side. See you on the next video as well to the viewing public, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Take care.